Hey guys, welcome back to the video. In this video, you guys, my review for episode 1 of HBO Max's The Last of Us. I do have to preface this video by saying I've actually never played The Last of Us. I started it a few months ago, but I decided I'm gonna wait until the show is over so I can experience the show first. But what I did play of the game is the exact story that we got in this first episode. So after this, I genuinely have no idea where this story goes, what is actually gonna happen to any of these characters. And so I pretty much got to all of what episode 1 covered, and here's all of my spoiler-filled thoughts on the first episode. Now, I won't be covering the show every single week, but I'll be posting my thoughts on all of my other social medias like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, but I'll be doing a mid-season review after episode 5, and then a finale review and season 1 review as a whole once episode 9 goes live on HBO. So subscribe so you don't miss any of my other thoughts on the show. But like I said before, I've actually never played The Last of Us game, and I know a lot of people that are watching this show, obviously they have. That's where the majority of the fan base of the show is coming from, because it's a video game adaptation. So if you've seen this first episode of The Last of Us already, or you played the game and you want to talk about like the comparisons between the actual video game and the show and how it's been adapted, whether you like that adaptation or not, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. But as for my thoughts on this episode, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Again, from a person that's literally only played this exact chunk of the game that they did in this first episode, I thought they adapted it pretty perfectly. Not in terms of like it's a one-for-one adaptation, because there are a few different things. There's a little bit of a chunk at the start that's not at the beginning of the video game, if I'm not mistaken, and just small stuff like that. And so I definitely think they crafted, and as an adaptation, they crafted it perfectly, because they add new stuff where they need to. They understand where the video game elements might be lacking in a live action version, and so they can add or take out elements according to that. Additionally, I think the performances in this show are absolutely amazing thus far. Pedro Pascal, he was going to be amazing no matter what, but also Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie, they are absolutely awesome. They're in like the second half of this episode, not as much in the first, because obviously that's just not how the story rolls in the game. But once they're introduced into the game, they're absolutely phenomenal. I mean, in the show, they're absolutely phenomenal. The amount of humor and just grit that the show has, it's so well balanced. And her character brings so much like lightness to this episode, and it's so dark already, obviously. And also that one scene, like the driving scene that they have, obviously that's like the one big one-for-one adaptation that was also shown in the trailers for this show, and it's absolutely perfectly done here, just from like the way that they point the camera and have like the camera on a swivel inside of the car and have all these external elements, and just the way that they also do the death of Joel's son or daughter, and just the way all of that is also played out. I just think it's absolutely awesome how they just play out this episode. Again, on a level of adaptation, this is probably the only episode that I'll actually be able to compare to the game, because I actually ended and I stopped playing the game whenever they started to get scanned, and then Ellie goes ahead and stabs the security guard and Joel ends up killing him, and then they go into like the bio waste place, like they go through the gate and stuff like that. So that's the final mission that I played. I didn't actually play any more than that, and so I'm excited to see where the story goes from here. And like I said, I don't really have many thoughts on an overall story as a game and stuff like that, but aside from just the adaptation elements, I really enjoy the story in general, and so I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. I've been saying this all over the internet, but the fact that people are saying the episode or like the show, the game is so good, and this episode was a perfect adaptation, again, in terms of what they take from the actual story of the video game, but also stuff that they make up on their own to implement into there. This first episode was already so perfect, in my opinion, from the chunk that I have played, that how much more perfect can it get? Like, can they keep up this consistent storytelling in terms of being good adaptation, knowing where to take stuff out, knowing where to bring stuff in? We have 8 more weeks of this, and so I'm super excited to see where the general story goes from here. Again, aside from story elements, the technical aspects of the show are absolutely amazing. Obviously, we have that one big shot of the house on fire, which is so great looking. The plane crashing, there's one shot of 2 planes going over the car that also looks absolutely stunning. There are so many sequences in just this first episode alone that look beautiful, and the cinematography. And also one thing I noticed, like towards the very end of the episode, is The way that they handle the camera is so well done. They have a lot of shots that are like locked off on tripods, but a lot of times it's straight handheld, it's straight action cam, and they know what they're doing there. They understand that we're in this gritty world and that we have to be in here with the characters. Obviously, video games, they really do have that like artificial shake or the very smooth camera that goes through scenes, but that's one thing you can do really cool in this show, in my opinion, is that you can have a great mix of your Steadicam, your super big wide shots of these planes falling out of the sky when you're in the car, but whenever Joel and Ellie are just talking to each other, you can have just a handheld camera on them. Whether it's shakes in post-production or not, I don't know, but it visually looks like just a handheld camera in front of both of them. It gives such a gritty feel. And also, already the dynamic between Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, they are absolutely amazing as a duo thus far, and I love the introduction that Bella and Pedro's characters have with each other and just the way that they interact already. I just love what they've done so far in the show, and we're only like an hour and 30 minutes into the content. Speaking of that runtime, it's a massive runtime for the first episode, and I think the second episode is like 50 minutes, and the third episode is another 80-minute episode. This one was 85 if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not gonna lie, this episode only felt like an hour, and it was like an hour and 30 minutes. I feel like the lower runtime episodes are definitely going to feel a lot shorter just because everything flows so well. I think the time jumps also really worked. I think that the 3-year time jump, obviously that was also very jarring in the game when I started playing, but it works in the show as well. And just in general, they know how to build their world. They know what they're doing. The video game is great. And so I'm very excited to see where all of this goes from here. But that's pretty much all of my quick spoiler-filled thoughts on The Last of Us Episode 1. Like I said, I'm not going to be covering this show week to week, but I'll be doing a mid-season review after Episode 5, as well as a full Season 1 review when the season finale ends in like 8 weeks. Additionally, let me know what you thought of this first episode of HBO Max's The Last of Us in the comments down below. And again, subscribe so you don't miss any of my other coverage. Also, I'll be covering all the episodes on my other social medias. I just won't be making full-length TikToks on them, so they'll be up on YouTube Shorts as well if you guys want to go ahead and check those out. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.